The best is very hard to actually define because none of them are very good. So I'd have to say that my personal favourite in terms of the sheer entertainment value has to be the Street Fighter movie. Good. Because it's so silly and it's a pretty crap action film, but for that express purpose, it is also one of the best. I mean, you got Jean-Claude Van Damme just like going around. He's doing a kick. He's doing a little punch.
Do you like his
He's doing a kick and a punch sometimes.
What about his accent? Is that
Not really what I thought that guy would sound like, but never mind. You got Kylie Minogue, who admittedly doesn't wear any of the quite revealing clothing that Cammy does in there. And also, Ryu and Ken don't really look or act much like they do in the game either. Also, Sagat sucks. Vegas sucks as well. It's a pretty terrible movie, but at the same time, I had a laugh right going through it because of how it took what I really loved about the games and just was like, it's a game about a fighting tournament. It's not exactly the goddamn Odyssey, or is it? It's not going to be something that you're going to be sitting around the table with a fine wine saying, oh, do you remember that time that Sagat kicked somebody's face off? You would just be like, it's fucking brilliant. Smash him, smash that. Yeah, no, it's a really entertaining film for all of the reasons why it's also a terrible movie. And also Raul Julia just going like, of course, is possibly one of the most memed thing ever. And he does not look like M. Bison should. You imagine M. Bison as being this massive, hulking, imposing figure, and then you've got Raul Julia who looks like a leather daddy. And Julesy like that, but the M. Bison, he dominates you in a different way. You know what I'm saying? Julesy baby, that's me. All right, Julesy baby. I suggest watching it, but not through the lens of hoping to find a very credible film.
We all know that there are no such things as a truly great video game movie. I was going to say Silent Hill because I like the way that movie's shot. It's good, don't contort your face. But I think it's got to be Mortal Kombat, the original Mortal Kombat, not Annihilation, the first Mortal Kombat. It's schlocky as hell. It's not really a good movie, like, at all. The acting's hammy as F and all that jazz. But it's fun in terms of if you sort of grade it as like which movie made you kind of replicated the tone of the video game. Mortal Kombat is fun and over the top and ridiculous and gory and all that kind of stuff, like super heroic type fare. And the movie is every bit as dumb and stupid as all that kind of stuff. There's not even any fatalities in it, and like even though Shang Tsung mentions one of them, and Goro like picks a dude up like he's gonna do something, just puts him down again, doesn't do a thing, and he falls off a cliff. It's like you could have done something with the cliff. You could have had a spike pit, and they kind of do at the end, but it's not really enough. Anyway, it's all very ridiculous and all very fun. But the reason that it's the best video game movie of all time is that it gave us the Mortal Kombat theme, which was made for the movie, and everyone associates it with the franchise overall. So the sheer power of that thing is more than worth, commanding. So say the thing. I'm gonna say the thing. Mortal Kombat. It's actually painful to keep doing that. The Mortal Kombat theme is so good that we played and danced to it at my wedding. So.
My favourite, nay, the best video game movie is actually Warcraft, because I tell you what, it's unlike all your guys' favourite video game movies, which are very good, I'm sure. This is actually a really, really good movie, and it was brilliant fan service to nerds like myself who've been playing Warcraft for about the past 10 years or something. Don't actually play it at the moment because a paid subscription for me at the moment is a no-no. But anyway, love this franchise, I've played it for years. It's set actually in a time that I don't know a lot about, because the lore is all over the place anyway. When you're playing the game, you're just like, I just want to kill kobolds and steal candles, and you don't really worry about what's going on in the story. I played the game at the time when Thrall was my war chief. He was my dude. Thrall, shaman, green orc, man. And so basically the movie is about Thrall's father. So Thrall's kind of in it a little bit. So I kind of knew what was going on. But more importantly, the movie stars Travis Fimmel, Blue-Eyed Wonder from Vikings. He is playing Anduin Lothar?
Let's say yeah.
I googled it before the chatties, and I have already forgotten it. He's Lothar, I believe. You can feel free to correct me. But yeah, he's lovely looking. Acting is a little bit wooden, but I mean, he's nice looking, so he gets away with it. Also, we have Garona, who looks not that great.
Garona.
She's got like weird little orcish kind of tusks that didn't quite look good, but no, it's a really, really good movie. It was really good for me. As a fan, I'm not sure because I took my fiance to see it and he thought it was okay as never having been playing the game. So in my opinion, it's the best video game movie because it doesn't matter if you're a fan of the game or not. It's bloody awesome and it's got griffins in it and you fly about and it's great.
Ewan,
Yeah.
what's the best video game movie?
It's a trick question because they're all pish.
Get out.
No, I actually do have an answer.
Sorry, we're finished.
Alright. So I do have an answer. I have two actually, because I want to talk about briefly about the old Halo things, because back in the day, Halo was going to be the next big video game movie. I think District 9 guy, Neil Blomkamp, yeah, Josh knows, he was going to do one, and there was some cool like test footage of that, which is really cool, which they kind of inspired the Halo ODST Drop live action show, which is really cool. And obviously Halo is now everywhere on Netflix. But I'm actually going to talk about Overwatch. And I'm cheating somewhat, but anyone who's watched the Overwatch animated shorts will know that those are some of the best way of marketing a video game ever. And I still maintain the belief today that most people are interested in Overwatch, not necessarily because of the competitive scene, but mainly because of the lore and how rich the universe is. And the way those shorts helped flesh out all the different characters and establish so many different things is genuinely some of the best marketing that I've seen in a while. And one of the best ones is The Last Bastion, which is about one of the most annoying characters in the game when it first launched. I don't know how the meta has changed since, but back when he was in the game, Bastion was hated by everyone because he literally was the robot boy who turned into turrety boy, and then his DPS was like 5 billion a second and it killed you. And basically in Overwatch there was this thing called the Omnic War where all these evil robots basically tried to attack humanity, and Bastion basically wakes up in this battlefield, doesn't know what's happened. And then this entire short called The Last Bastion is about him rediscovering his past, and he runs into Ganymede, and Ganymede is this cute little bird companion that he has. You get treated to a little flashback of when he fought during the Omnic Wars, and the whole thing with Bastion is that he doesn't want to fight anymore. He just wants to explore nature and be in touch with his nice serene side and just explore the forest. But of course that probably doesn't happen. But all I'm saying is, Blizzard, why are we fanning around with more updates to multiplayer when we could be having an actual Overwatch animated movie? Because those shorts are wonderful and they make a fantastic. You could probably compile them all together and flesh out the little bits that don't make sense and then actually get a movie out of it. So I think that should probably happen in the near future if they have any common sense.
Get Topher Grace on it.
Topher Grace, he'll edit it. Star Wars always, the thing. Also The Hobbit, yeah? You did the Hobbit thing, yeah?
Now, the best video game movie is not a work of fiction.
What?
It is a work of fact, because the best video game movie is a documentary. Because it's not based on a video game, it's about a video game. The best video game movie, in my opinion, is a documentary called Atari Game Over, which, of course, I'm assuming you've all heard of the great video game crash of 1983, caused by people pin it on one particular game, and that was the E.T. video game for the Atari 2600, which was so bad it was thrown together very quickly, and it was a complete critical and commercial failure. And legend says that obviously the video game crash happened, and all of these hundreds of thousands of copies of E.T. were taken to a landfill in, I want to say Texas, and buried.
New Mexico, maybe?
Something like that, anyway, yeah. But they took a load of copies of this game out to the States and they just buried them. So this documentary details people trying to determine whether that was true. Because it was kind of a legend within gaming. I think it came about because it was real, but it became a legend in itself. So these people try and track down what happened. So they relay what happened during the crash and the origin of the game. And they go and interview people at Atari. They interview the guy who made the game, because I think it was one guy who did it. And eventually they nail down whereabouts, on the records, it was these copies were buried, and they go and they get permission from the state government or whatever to go and dig up these supposed games, and they end up going, and there's hundreds of people who've come from all over the world to see this happen, and lo and behold, they unearth the landfill of Atari 2600 games, because it did happen. And it's just a documentary.
Spoiler!
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a documentary that outlines not only the crash itself, but obviously what happened to E.T. and the fact that it was all real. And I just thought it was incredible. And following on from Ewan's about using marketing to make little short films, there was a little game that kind of did that before Overwatch. It was called Team Fortress 2, who did the same sort of thing with meeting each of the classes, which are some of the best gaming shorts there are. Sorry, Ewan. And also the...
Overwatch better, mate.
It's not.
The better.
And then Team Fortress also did a couple of like proper short films. Expiration Date, where the soldier teleports bread and they fight a big bread monster. There's nothing else you need in life. It's the best thing. Don't poke me, Ewan.
No, it's good, Rich.
Don't poke my boob.
Listen, there's only one that comes to mind, and I've killed you all with it because you're going to die anyway, because it's Resident Evil 1, which came out in 2002. Ewan isn't even there anymore. I'm talking to no one because I'm the only person in the world who loves this movie. It's Paul W.S. Anderson.
It's good.
It's good.
That's not love, though, is it? It's pretty good, isn't it?
It's not. Rich hates it. We've got to stick to a narrative here. Rich hates it.
Rich hates everything, obviously, yeah. Yes, it's great. Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who may or may not have already been in this list, depending on when Scott's entry was. He tried it with Mortal Kombat. I don't really think that was a good movie, but with Resident Evil, he actually wrote a script called, I think, Undead, which he admitted was a basic rip-off of the Resident Evil game, and then he was just like, well, I might just make this an official tie-in. And it is an adaptation of the original game in a sense, in that you've got the idea of the T-virus creating zombies, but you don't have actually any of the characters or really any of the plot points. Instead of being in the mansion for the majority of the movie like it is in the game, it's set in an underground lab called the Hive, and instead of the great sort of protagonists that we had from the game like Jill or Chris, we've got Milla Jovovich's Alice, who replaces them all and is the best person of all time. She can do anything in this movie. She at one point, she literally runs up a wall and drop kicks a dog in the face. And that is why this is genuinely the best video game movie of all time. Because this came out just after The Matrix, so Paul W.S. Anderson went into a meeting and went, what can we do? We can do The Matrix, but with zombies, and with a cool, sick-ass laser wall that comes out of nowhere and chops people into tiny little pieces. Am I selling you on this yet, Ewan? Come on.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. It is good. That's just the start of it as well. It makes absolutely no sense, but it's got that early 2000s action movie bonanza in style that you just don't get anymore. It's got this thumping industrial soundtrack. I think there's a lot of Marilyn Manson on it as well, which I mean now, no. Back in 2002, absolutely that's a good thing. And it, again, makes no sense. The sequels are all really bad, but somehow it kind of blends genuine horror with action in a way that Resident Evil struggled to. And I'm not saying it's like, you know, very scary or the action is very, very good, but somehow it comes together in this sort of B-movie camp that you just can't help but enjoy. I even bought the novelization of this film because that's just what I did as a kid. I read books about movies based on games.
No one bought the novelization.
Look, I bought the novelization for this, and then the second and third movies as well. This was my reading experience as a child. Forget Harry Potter. I was reading the novelization of Resident Evil based on the game, and I loved every minute of it.
Doom. That was a fucking creamy dreamy in action there.
Come hither, Grundle. Oh, it certainly was, eh?
I was just gonna end on Doom, but now I feel like I've got to explain myself after Josh fucking crapping and coming and everything.
Crapping and coming.
My favourite video game movie is one that knows exactly what it is. It delivers what it says on the tin. It comes from a game that has really no backstory to deliver on, so there's no expectations to fail at all, and it is just a good time, and people that don't like it don't like fun. And that's Doom, obviously, because it's just a good time. Like, I must admit that my taste in films is quite bad, as anyone who's seen me on main channel talk about Van Helsing and Deep Blue Sea. Doom is up there with like the films that I think are amazing, so don't worry, it's self-aware about how bad this is. But yeah, I just think Doom's fantastic. I love that it plays on all of the like run and gun stuff whilst bringing in some aliens to shoot up. Like, it's just pure big dumb fun, and that's all I ask from a movie, is that there's some aliens, there's some shooting, that there's The Rock looking very disgruntled with an arched eyebrow, his classic arched eyebrow.
You do it. There we go.
This one. Thank you, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And yeah, that's all I want from a movie. That's it, honestly. Entertained. It's It's a good movie. Yes, Silent Hill is good. Yes, Resident Evil is good. Most films that are based on video games are good, is my output on this. I think anything.
Whoa!
It's just all good. It's all good. It's all nonsense. What? You were right down there.
All right. Doom's not very good.
Doom is good.
Doom's boring.
No, it's not.
Also, the Sonic movie is going to be great.
Because you want to shag it, Ridge.